Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
A nice little tip I got about the Nancy Guthrie situation. Not that I'm on the edge of my seat anymore, right? We have other things to do. Sorry, but we were talking to Scott Monroe, who is the Detective Scott Monroe from the Detectives Endowment Association. Those unions are fantastic because they're active duty cops, but they have a latitude and an authority. And basically, they are allowed to speak out about horrific mayoral policies and edicts, and they can say things about the police commissioner, the mayor, that rank and file cops can't do because they're civil servants and they're not spokesmen for the department and all that stuff. So we got really a great, blunt, brutal assessment of how Mamdani is doing and her horrible comments after the snowball fight and what they reveal. They reveal a guy, and it's not a snowball fight. I got to stop saying that. It was a riot and an assault on cops. But one thing that detective mentioned to me, I just said, hey, while you're here, tell me, what do you think of the Guthrie case? And he said, well, I've been looking at that video. We all see it all day long. It was on Fox Live almost all day of Nancy Guthrie's house, drone footage of the house. And one thing that he noticed about that house, and I don't know if I would have noticed it, the roof is new. The roof is brand new. The roofers have been there within the past year. He said, I would check that crew. Workers, anybody who was around that house who may have gotten some ideas, check there. So there's said to be renewed activity at the house. When has there not been activity around that house, right? That's breaking news when they all go home. Maybe that's the news. I mean, everything has been happening at that house. The FBI searching, pizza guys showing up, media always there. I don't think there's been 1 ounce of quiet in that neighborhood since, a month ago has it been? A month? 3 weeks? Something like that. So we hope they find her. They hope they find her in one piece, but we have to get on with our lives. I'm sorry, we do. Now, last night, after the big speech, now nobody saw this. I mean, nobody, right? Very few, I don't know how many people made it to the last, but it was a great speech. It really had its moments, and it was very direct. Sometimes, even when they start talking policy, I start to nod off, it just, whatever. But the entire speech was very comprehensible for me. I understood everything. Sometimes I do get a little bit, okay, what are they talking about now? What's going on here? What's on my phone? But every word of it I could understand. Now, Spamberger shows up. Now, who the hell's Spamberger? She's the new governor of Virginia. It's interesting. The Democrats can get anybody elected. Spamberger, this woman, first of all, she is, forgive me, a little bit, I mean, there seems to be a skin disorder, right? She's got white hair and white skin like beyond. I mean, I know a friend who actually suffers from this albinoism, right? There's not enough melanin in the skin. Something's going on with her health-wise. And I remember she got brutally beaten by, who was that woman again? Sears in the debate. The lieutenant governor, remember her? Winsome Sears. She was fantastic. And Abigail couldn't even make eye contact with her. So she starts off the speech, and right away I'm told, jokes that don't land and lines that aren't true. All right, here she is last night at like 2 a.m. by the time they got around to this speech. The Democrat response to the State of the Union. Go.
1705, the people of the Virginia colony gathered here to take on the extraordinary task of the United States was founded on the idea that ordinary people could reject the unacceptable excesses of poor leadership, band together to demand better of their government, and create a nation that would be an example for the world.
Oh, they had their own fake crowd in there, right? Usually you just got to deliver it straight to camera. Well, I'm told that they didn't meet right there. She's basically in a museum, right? It's not the same place. That's one little thing. Ooh, a Queens assistant principal arrested on prostitution-related charge. Huh. I wonder what happened there. I wonder what happened. You know, I thought we were going to legalize sex work. Isn't that what they call it? Sex work? They were going to legalize sex work in New York. That was one of Mamdani's dreams, to legalize sex work. A couple of other things. You know who was blowing her head off last night? Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar. Can you imagine going to another country and becoming a citizen, as she is apparently, right? Coming from a total hellhole like Somalia, which it is. It's a terrible, lawless place. Horrible for the people, horrible for everybody. There's nobody in charge there. She comes here, and this ignorant woman, this ignorant, greedy woman, is yelling and screaming at the president of the United States, Ilhan Omar. You know, everywhere she goes, sometimes there is a conservative reporter. Maybe it's Nick Shirley. Maybe it's somebody from The Blaze. You know what I mean? Who wants to know a little bit about how she became so rich since she arrived in Congress. She's a very wealthy woman, you know, worth north of $60 million, apparently on financial disclosure reports. And she made that money while a member of Congress, one of the squad members. Hit it, please.
Hi, Congresswoman Omar. You were just talking about how Trump's economy has failed the American people, but I think the American people really want to know how you went from a negative $65,000 before coming into Congress to over $30 million in just 7 years.
My disclosure is public now.
Yeah, it is. And so a lot of people now are looking into that and finding S. Crew Winery, a winery that doesn't actually seem to exist. Is that a real winery, or?
Do you all actually look at and read things, or do you just ask silly questions?
Well, it's listed in the financial disclosure, so can you explain it? Because we have a lot of questions about it, and things just aren't adding up. There's no real phone number. There's no real location.
Why did you want to buy some wine?
Probably not from you, to be honest. Recently stated that the American people should be afraid of the white man. They should be fearful of the white man.
I never said that.
Yeah, you're on video saying it.
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
No, I did not. Yes, you.
Again, this is like what I said. You need to prepare yourself, because you can't continue embarrassing yourself like this.
So I'm just a liar.
What I was quoting was an actual study done by the FBI.
Okay, thank you.
Just prepare next time.
All right, thank you, Congresswoman.
Wow. Now, it's true that, let me think about it. Actually, it's not. You can make the case that there are more white murderers than black murderers, right? You can. However, in terms of per capita and the percentage of the population, right, it's off the charts among black men compared to white men. Now, that's uncomfortable. That's weird. That's whatever, right? Now, she's talking about net numbers. I don't know what they are, but, she's justifying because, well, there's more crime, then you should be more afraid. But the problem is the percentage of who's actually committing the crime, even within those race groups, right? So she's kind of playing the game, but she did say out loud right there that we should be afraid of the white man. I'm not really afraid of anybody. You know what I'm afraid of? Behavior, aggressive behavior, suspicious behavior, that kind of thing. And that could come from, in my, the way I have to view the world, the way I will view the world, the way I want to view the world. That's situation based. Now, if you're sitting down making policy, that's another kind of, that's a whole different kettle of fish. All right. So what else did we want to do? I needed to show you that. How about the heartbreaking story of that beautiful girl from Ukraine who was killed on that train in North Carolina? You saw that video, right? The madman who attacked her, by the way, it was a race. It was a hate crime. It was a hate crime. He said, I got the white bitch. I got the white bitch. She's from Ukraine. She comes over here for peace. There are members of Congress who will not stand up as this story is told, who are wearing the Ukraine flag, which is another thing, quite frankly, that has to stop, right? You know, loyalty here. All right, do me a favor, those parents, those beautiful parents who were sobbing as President Trump relayed the story of their amazing daughter.
Slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget. There were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zaretsky, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there. Starting last summer.
Well, how do you not stand? How do you not stand? Right? Very strange. How do you support Ukraine? And then there are Ukrainian parents in there, right? Their lives coming apart at the seams, and you won't stand up. I think a long time ago I said it, but that's the game that they play. You stand, you sit, you stand, you sit, right? You stand against about things that everybody can get behind, right? You know, fighting Al-Qaeda after 9/11. Everybody stood up. Maybe Bernie Sanders sat on his ass. I don't remember. All right, there were one or two who said, you know, no. It should be diplomacy. We need diplomacy. Actually, in a weird way, George W. Bush thought diplomacy. He didn't start bombing until how many weeks later? Thanks a lot, George. Right afterwards, the moment about why didn't you stand to protect American citizens over illegal aliens? This is Congresswoman Janelle Binham, Democrat from somewhere. Listen to how she handled that one. Cut 15, if you don't mind. Cut 15, 1-5.
What did you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts?
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. Anti-illegal immigrant. Anti-illegal immigrant. You know, we could be like Europe, let them all in, and then Europe slips away. Sweden. You going to go to Sweden anytime soon? And pretty soon they're going to have a prime minister from Algeria in Sweden, of all places. It's just crazy. And there's something to be said for holding on to one's culture. We were always a little bit lax as far as culture goes, right? A little bit lax, right? That was part of it. A little bit. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And now there's too much of this, that, and the other thing. And too many ignorant, dare I say, white folk are afraid of the consequences of pointing that out, so it's best not to point it out. Just keep your head down and don't get in trouble, right? I don't want any trouble. I don't want to get involved. No. Somebody else will take care of that. I'm too busy. Yeah, I can't. Look, if you knew what I had to deal with, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I got bills to pay. I got this, that, my kid. It's amazing. People will give up their lives for their country, but they won't give up their careers. And notice that when I was in the Marines, of all places, the Marines. It's great. People will give up their lives. Absolutely. Everybody I was with would die in service of their country. Some did. Some I know, friends. But to give up their career or to get in trouble. Oh, I don't want to get in trouble. Trouble. What can happen to you? Well, if they take away your livelihood, you know what I mean? This is how they get you on the kids. The kids. They'll give up their life, but they won't anything that could possibly harm their kids. I understand it. It's a human kind of thing that kicks in. But sometimes you have to overcome that and do what's right, and God will take care of the rest. Be right back.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So, look, whoever the hell has a job at Harvard University, does it really matter? Does it really matter who the president is of some college? Yeah, not really. Not really, but it is a little bit of an indicator of something, all right? Something's going on, all right? Now, you have to remember that the whole Epstein hoax was engineered to get Trump. It was engineered. The only way he survived it, in a weird way, was being elected president. Really. Because if he weren't president, they'd be taking him down just like they're taking everybody else down. Right? It doesn't matter whether it's true. It doesn't matter if it had nothing to do with sex. Here goes Larry Summers. Larry Summers, who is he? Who the hell cares? Well, at one point, his name was in your pocket. Literally. He was the Treasury Secretary. That means his signature was on every piece of currency in America at a time when people were carrying cash, the 1990s. And he had a big job. He was a very smart guy. He's kind of a doofus when it comes to women. Doesn't know how to do it. Doesn't know how to, he's awkward. A lot of those guys who have super duper IQs have been shortchanged in the charm department, in the how to talk to girls department. He didn't know how to talk to them. So he talked to Jeffrey Epstein about how to get girls, and not underage girls, not even like 20-something girls, like some 53-year-old scientist he met at some science fair consortium thing he went to. Should I text her this? Should I text her that? How much email is too much email? That's the kind of dopey stuff he was asking Jeffrey Epstein. Larry Summers has resigned from Harvard because of all of his Epstein connections. Not because he was having sex with anybody, not because he was on the island, but because he was emailing this guy for advice about how to talk to some lady he liked. Is that fair? Is that America? If they can do it to him, right, this super duper full professor at Harvard, what can they do to the rest of us? They would have done it to President Trump. They did things like this to President Trump. Later on, I'm going to make a video. And people on my side who get very upset when I start to downplay the seriousness of the Epstein thing. I got about 500 headlines that have come out over the past several months. All headlines that seem to or want to damn President Trump. That President Trump is the one in trouble for this. This is all about getting Trump. Now, it's misfiring, it's backfiring, but that was always the intent, and they're still on it. It's a big story. The number one story in the New York Times. Why is the file that accuses Trump of assault not in the files, right? Apparently, they say there's one file that proves everything, and it's not in the files. Therefore, President Trump must have covered it up, right? It's a whole fake political game carried out by the fake news and their allies to win in 2026. Remember that.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true. And one more misunderstanding I want to clear up. Under our plan, no federal dollars will...
You lie! Remember that? That's all the way back in 2009 or 10. Some guy from South Carolina, member of Congress, heard something that was obviously false, and he said, "That's false. That's a lie." Oh, my gosh. It was a huge national story for like a month. They try to ruin that guy. You compare it to last night, they're yelling, "Shame on you," blah, 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 walking out, giving him the finger, people wearing labels on their shirt that say F Trump, although they put in the UCK part, right? It's, I don't know. And you got to admit, though, back then, Obama, even though he was being very deceptive about the Obamacare, what was he doing that liberals don't do today? I mean, he'd be banished from that Democrat Party. He was enforcing immigration law. He was running a robust deportation program. At that point, he was still against gay marriage. No one was proposing sexualizing children. The trans fetish hadn't yet really kicked in, right? Where you have regular people, Democrats, Chuck Schumer of all people. Wow, talk about a fraud, huh? Chuck Schumer from Brooklyn. What would his parents think about that? That Chuck Schumer is running around crying about transgender. That Chuck Schumer is attending the gay pride parade, wearing all the colors of gay pride, running up and down like a lunatic, right? That he's upset, and he's publicly discussing how upset his daughter is that gay marriage, and his daughter's gay and his daughter's married, and he's talking about his daughter's gay wedding. What would the parents have made about all that? This is very, very, very unusual moment. Chuck, you really have fallen far. Is it worth it? I wonder what he gets out of being the majority leader, minority leader, whatever. Right? What does he really get out of it? I know they fall in love with the perks and the security guys. Oh my gosh, they can't imagine life without that stuff. The other thing I wanted to do, Governor Westmore must be, I'm actually pretty gratified. I thought I was the only one onto this guy and what a phony he is. The word is out in the political press, probably more than anywhere else. The political press is aware that this guy is a phony and a fraud and a liar. And you could get away with this for a long time. Just come out and say crime is down, like he did. Westmore just bragging about crime being down, when it's not, by the way. He's the governor of Maryland. He should be focused on getting that sludge out of the river. Instead, he is too busy at the gym. I know what it takes to look like that, right? That's a full-time job looking like that. The guys who look like that are not doing their job. He looks great, too good. Go ahead.
Example, when people said, well, we're going to deal with the issue of violence, and they said, well, are you pro-police or are you pro-community? And I said, I'm not choosing. And so what we've done in Maryland, I've made the largest investments in law enforcement and local law enforcement in our state's history. Good. But you know what I've also done? Made investments in community groups and community violence intervention groups. I've worked with both the mayor, the state's attorney, and the public defender. Good. That we invested in technology and said if someone commits a violent crime, particularly with a firearm, I want him in handcuffs in 24 hours. And we've also invested and said making sure that Maryland is one of the only states that actually invests in the U.S. attorney out of balance sheet. And what have been the results?
Hey, slow down, Pops. Slow down, Slick.
Crime anyway.
U.S. attorney balance sheets. Wow. And you got a bunch of, quite frankly, white people who are in awe of this person. They don't get to sit with many people of color. That's part of it. Ooh, wow, he seems so interesting, so dynamic, so articulate. Isn't he articulate? Which, yes, I do think is kind of a put down because he's not exceptionally articulate, but he happens to be black, and that blows certain white people away who want to be blown away. I don't know if you've seen it, but we have video now from Montgomery County, which is one hell of a place in Maryland, crack central. There's some nice parts, but there are some crazy, crazy, out-of-control parts. It's been that way for a long time, and it ain't getting better. So it's dash cam video at night from a cop car. And I'll tell you what's going on. 3, 2, 1, hit it. Cop car, thugs come into the intersection, take it over. The cop can't move any further. They set smoke bombs off. Oh, my God. It's like Baghdad. I've been to Baghdad. It's worse than Baghdad.
All units 10-9. I need more units to Connecticut east-west.
They're blocking the cop car.
14.
Antifa, it looks like to me. Right in the middle of the intersection, someone's doing donuts in front of the cop. Oh, man, they're breaking their windows. Stop for a second. I remember in the old days, the cops showed up. You know what the bad guys had the decency to do? Run away. The cops, the policia, we got to get out of here. Nope. Now they just taunt them. They stay, and it goes on like this for hours. Keep going. Oh, my gosh. Doing those crazy donuts right in front of the cop. Smoke everywhere. It's terrifying for regular people. The bad guys are directing the cops. How about that one? The bad guys are telling the cops where to put their cop cars. Antifa maniacs on foot now terrorizing everybody else. Smoke grenades all over the place. Smoke grenades. Uh-oh, and now they're destroying a police sergeant's cruiser. They're destroying it. Pelting it with all kinds of metal and brick. I can see it. You can't hear it, but I see it. In America, for crying out loud, and they're giving the finger to the cops. Stop. Just unbelievable. Oof. I don't believe what I'm seeing. This is a real thing? Is this real? Can't be real. For God's sake, please. Montgomery County. So meanwhile, how good are you doing with crime there? What's your name there? Governor Westmore with the cute smile? Big shot?
Where? In the United States of America over the past 2 years, violent crime is down nearly 50% since I put my hand on the Bible and was inaugurated. I don't do the, are you this or are you that? I'm like, what makes sense? For example, when people said, well, we're going
to... What makes sense? This all happened. I put my hand on the Bible. What a self-absorbed creep. So I have footage of him downtown, and you know what happens? He gets confronted by the people. You here for another photo op? That's exactly why he's there, for another photo op. It's too bad. He's too young. He's too young. You can't have anybody in public office under the age of 60, I'm starting to think. Right? Because, I mean, there's like a primal urge to take care of his young children before you and me, right? That's one of the great things about Trump. He didn't get into this politics until his kids were successful and grown and out of the house. Everybody else has got to put their family first. And when you put it, it's beautiful, but it's also kind of an injustice to all of us at the same time. Yes, Mary, hello. Is she there?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. In reference to Democrats not standing up for protecting America's citizens first, it dawned upon me. They don't believe in the concept of an American citizen. and everything that goes with us. There's just everybody on the planet is all the same. We just happen to be the people who are physically located here. That's it. And if there's any distinction to be made, it's taxable and non-taxable. That's where our documentation comes in handy, because they can tax us. But the non-taxables, they are also provide a service for them for voting and census and keeping them in power.
Interesting, right? The non-taxable somehow have greater status than we do. That is so thoroughly wrong and crazy, and I think you're onto something. I love your observation. Oh, look who it is, Russ. Did we ban him? I forget. Anyway, hello, Russ. What is it?
Hey, Greg, you gave me a lunar cycle. You said every 28 days, and it's been 28 days.
All right, that's good. What's up?
Okay. You know, the NYPD in Washington Square was disciplined and well-trained. It was an orderly withdrawal. It wasn't a retreat. The police are trained to de-escalate.
De-escalate. Let me ask you something. When's the first time you heard that word, de-escalate? It is a, what's that other word they like to use? It is a trope. It is a let's give up and give the mob what it wants trope. They weren't withdrawing, by the way. They weren't. No, they were trying to respond. You don't understand, Russ. They were called because the cops were needed because all those thugs were terrorizing people with their ice and their rocks and the rest. De-escalate. Look at you. They're trained to de-escalate. Ooh, they're trained to de-escalate. You know, it's called law enforcement. Force. Sometimes you got to use force, pal. They were, that was, if you think that was somehow a display that was some praiseworthy, you're crazy, Russ. You're crazy. De-escalate. De-escalate. Never heard the word until 2020, for crying out loud. De-escalate. Now, at the same time, I know you don't have to make a big deal. You don't go in guns blazing in every situation. You assess and all that stuff. De-escalate. De-escalate. When the hell did you first start talking about de-escalate? It's a de Blasio thing. Let's de-escalate. De-escalate. They were de-escalating. You know what? Somebody needed to escalate. They needed to send in more cops. You heard the mockery? Did this sound? Let me look at that snowball fight. The snowball fight. It was a riot. Listen to you. Withdraw. Give up. Give the mob what it wants. Wrong. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable with Kuby. Ronald Kuby. Look at this. Oh, let's de-escalate. Leave them alone. De-escalate. De-escalate. Oh, no, don't escalate. De-escalate. Russ, I am once again not, you know, what I expect, Russ. All right, we never have agreed on anything, quite frankly. De-escalate. Makes me nauseous. All right, but you get the last word.
Well, we agree that my wife is great and she likes you because you can ask a question and answer it. But I think it's in contrast to the reaction to the armed paramilitary in Minneapolis. Whistles and snowballs stopped them. The Patriots stopped them with whistles and snowballs.
The Patriots stopped who with whistles and snowballs?
Patriots in Minneapolis stopped
the
that
Patriots. The Patriots. You mean the rioters who got in the way of legitimate law enforcement efforts? I'd like to show up wherever you work, Russ, and blow a whistle, right? And take out my phone and record you, right? Is that patriotic? Getting in somebody's face? Russ, let's face it, you're anti-cop. You're anti-cop. You're anti-train. You only like cops when they're running away and de-escalating. When they're kicking a little ass. Anyway, all right. I don't want to leave it like this. You said something nice about your wife. I concur. She's a great lady. How did you guys meet?
She was dancing on a bar, and I got her off the bar. But, Greg, which side
Whoa. Is it that Coyote place downtown?
No, Bamboo Bernie's on the Upper West Side.
Hot damn!
In the Boston Massacre, Greg, which side would you be on in the Boston Massacre?
What side would I be on in the Boston Massacre? Are you talking about the Tsarnaev brothers when they blew it up, or when the Brits unloaded on us?
I mean, when the black man, Crispus Attucks, was the first person killed in the American Revolution. Patriots there.
Look at you with the race. Look at you with the race. As if it mattered. You know what the person was when we stuck it to the Brits? Patriots, heroes. Black, white. Look at you with the identity politics. I don't even think they were writing that stuff down back then. Well, I guess they were, because we had, slaves running around. Black, white, Hispanic, red, brown, black and brown. Remember Jesse Jackson? Black and brown community. All right, say hi to the wife. That's a great, I did not know. The Bamboo Lounge. I know that place. The one on 72nd, right?
It was on 84th and Broadway. Bamboo Bernie's. It's not there anymore. It's not the Bamboo Lounge.
All right. There's a tiki place on 72nd Street that I know, that I used to go. Thank you, pal. Let me try Reg. Is that his name? Reg, hello?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Russ is crazy. They weren't de-escalating. They were routed. They were driven out. There's a tool they should put back in the hands of the police. I think your father might appreciate this too. The nightstick. Judiciously applied, it can be a serious weapon. It can be you can give somebody a little tap on the back of the leg, like it happened to a friend of mine. He hopped around for about half an hour, and we used to go to high school reunions together. He never forgot that as long as he lived. And the nightstick is a great intermediary type weapon between a fist and a gun. They should bring it back.
Are we sure they don't have anything remotely resembling a baton?
Well, if they do, I never see them using it anymore.
Yeah, I do think
my uncle was a New York City cop, and I have a couple of his souvenirs he left me. There was a hardwood one that was hollow. Then there was another one that was a little slimmer, but it had a lead core.
I remember the brown one with grooves at the top. Remember that one?
Yeah.
All right, pal, I got to run. Thank you. The nightstick. What is the deal with the nightstick? The baton. Remember in The Simpsons? It's where's your club? That's not a club. It's a baton. What do you do with it? We club people. Thank you, pal, very much. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
That's not a snowball fight. You know what that is? That's a lynch mob. That's a lynch mob. Coming for my cops. What are you doing? 1,000 people are pelting you with rocks, ice, snowballs, whatever. Hey, by the way, I do remember as a kid, if you threw a snowball at a certain car, it was a police matter. It was, if you threw a snowball at a cop, I cannot believe. I think back to throwing a snowball. That was like a major deal. If you threw it at a car, you had no idea what the hell was going to happen. It was like a, whoa, if you made impact with the car, that car comes to a halt and you don't know what's going to happen next. That was a big no-no. And if you threw them at a school bus, what happened there? Some guy was just sentenced to 60 years in jail for running somebody over drunk. I wonder what all the circumstances were there. I'm not saying that's not just. I just want to know a little bit more information. So what are we going to do? Videos tonight coming big time. I'm going to expose Westmore again. It's kind of a hobby of mine. We're going to look at the rape gangs of the United Kingdom. This was happening in plain sight. Working class, young girls, teenagers were being raped by organized Pakistani gangs, young men, and it was happening for years, and they didn't do a damn thing about it, even though they knew it was happening. It's crazy. And also, the number of people of Pakistani descent that were involved in this thing, preying on young, native-born British girls, they looked at it. They looked at all the other groups. No one was doing this to Pakistanis, right? It seemed to be coming from one way. And even saying it out loud, you feel, oh gosh, I might, I could be, oh boy, I don't want to offend. I know somebody who was, people don't want to say it. And if you can't say it, if you can't identify a problem, how the hell are you going to fix a problem? That's like the Brits. They're just too, quite frankly, they're a little bit too genteel, too worried about appearances, too worried. They're all so uptight over there. Relax. It's so good that we bolted and made our own country. I have to go. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. There's the music. Sorry about all the phone calls we're not getting to, but that's the way it goes. Wednesday. Still mountains of snow out there. How would a person in a wheelchair get on the bus? They made those buses wheelchair accessible. Millions and millions of dollars spent making those buses wheelchair accessible. You can't get a wheelchair onto that bus. There's too much snow. There's too much snow. Mondami wants to make them free. Just do your job.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.